Hey, what's up? As I mentioned in a previous video, I have 3 new mini PCs from KAMRUI. Today we are going to test the KAMRUI H1 with the AMD Ryzen 7 7735HS processor. You can watch our other videos about the KAMRUI mini PCs by the links in description and choose the one that it is better for you. You know, we have actually already tested a computer with the Ryzen 7 7735HS CPU from another brand, but this is the first one from KAMRUI. Let's test its performance and see what tasks it is suitable for. You know, KAMRUI doesn't really bother with the packaging of its mini PCs because they all look the same. On the back of the box we can read the product information such as series, model, color, RAM, ROM, etc. The contents of the package are also the same as the other KAMRUI computers, such as the mini PC itself. User manual. Power supply and power cable, HDMI cable and a VESA mount. So we will not dwell on this for too long. Let's move on to the design. You know, even the design of the new KAMRUI H1 mini PC was very familiar to me. Yes, it looks very similar to the previous KAMRUI mini PC with an Intel N95 processor, which we tested earlier on our channel Tech Brothers. However, while the previous mini PC had a removable base on the bottom for memory expansion, the new computer doesn't offer that feature. In addition, the KAMRUI H1 has other connectivity options. In fact, there are many more ports available now. The front panel has USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C, 2 USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type-A, 3.5mm audio jack and power button. The back panel has 4 more USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type-A ports, 2.5 gigabits per second RJ45, DP 2.0, HDMI 2.0 and DC input. So using the USB Type-C, DP and HDMI ports, you can connect 3 monitors to this computer. There are so many USB-A ports here that you can connect all your peripherals, such as a computer mouse, keyboard, etc. By the way, talking about connectivity options, the mini PC also supports Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.2. Okay, now let's take a look inside this computer. To do that, we need to remove the 4 rubber feet from the bottom and unscrew the 4 screws. First, there is a metal plate on the bottom cover that is a passive cooling solution for the computer. As for the internal components of the mini PC, there is an M.2 2280 PCIe Gen 3 SSD from Netek. This is a good Chinese manufacturer of the SSDs, memory modules, USB flash drives, etc. We will test the speed of this SSD a little later. There is also a slot for installing a second SSD. The mini PC supports up to 4 TB of storage from 2 drives. As for the RAM, I don't see it here. I think it is on the other side of the motherboard, and it is probably soldered directly to it. In other words, the RAM cannot be upgraded here. The cooling fan is also located on the back of the motherboard. Okay, now we can move on to testing the computer's performance. First, let's check its boot speed. It took only 17 seconds to boot up. That's really fast. The mini PC probably has a good SSD installed. We will test its speed a little later. The KAMRUI H1 mini PC runs on Windows 11 Pro operating system out of the box. It is already activated, so you don't need to set up anything. Just sign in to your Microsoft account. I think that if you want to, you can install Linux or another operating system on this computer. but I personally use Windows, so I will not be changing it. The main feature of the KAMRUI H1 mini PC is the AMD Ryzen 7 7735HS CPU. This is a high-performance laptop processor with 8 cores and 16 threads, utilizing Zen 3 Plus architecture and a 6nm process. It has a clock speed of 3.2 GHz and a turbo speed of 4.8 GHz. It also features Radeon 680M integrated graphics. I think this processor is designed for gaming and workstations because it has a pretty high TDP for a mini PC. Its stated typical TDP is about 35 watts and the maximum TDP is 54 watts. In my case, the computer consumed only 5 watts in standby mode. During the stress test, the TDP initially rose to 35 watts and then dropped to 28 watts. It is actually a power-efficient mini PC, especially compared to full-size computers. I think it could be used for 24/7 service. As for fan noise, while I was using the mini PC for regular home and office tasks, it seems like the fan didn't turn on at all. It was silent. I could only hear the fan noise when I ran a stress test and played games, but its level did not exceed 42 decibels. So the KAMRUI H1 is a power-efficient and quiet computer, and it can be used for 24/7 low-power tasks such as media streaming, home automation, or network storage. I already told you about 512 gigs SSD installed in this computer. Now let's check its speed. So its reading speed is 3551 megabits per second, and the writing speed is 2568 megabits per second. This is a really good SSD. For example, last week we tested another mini PC from KAMRUI, and it only had about 500 megabits per second of reading speed. I wouldn't replace the SSD in this computer, but I would definitely add a second one, because 512 gigs is really not enough. I had to delete some games to download new ones. Now let's check the mini PC's performance using benchmark tests. The first benchmark is Geekbench 6, and the KAMRUI H1 has a 1990 single-core score and 8499 multi-core score. The multi-core performance is really good. In Cinebench R23, we can see 1256 PTS in a single-core test and 8547 PTS in a multi-core test. The rating score in Passmark benchmark is 5619. I like the PCMark 10 benchmark because it doesn't just show scores, but also a chart showing other results. As you can see, this mini PC has much better performance than an office laptop, and it is very close to a gaming laptop. The 3DMark benchmark allows you to test the graphics card performance. This mini PC has an overall score of 2313 in TimeSpy test and 5919 in Firestrike test. As you can see, the AMD Ryzen 7 7735HS with the AMD Radeon 680M graphics shows really good results in benchmark tests. I have really good feeling about the gaming performance. Let's play some games on the KAMRUI H1 mini PC. I installed a few popular games on it, such as Counter-Strike 2, PUBG Battlegrounds, Asphalt Legends, Cyberpunk 2077, and GTA 5. I set the monitor resolution to 1080p for all games, but the graphics vary. When I was playing CS2, first I selected high graphics settings, and it ran very smoothly. Then I tried it on ultra-high graphics, and it was still very smooth to play. In PUBG Battlegrounds, I selected High Graphics settings. The average FPS was around 30. But overall, I was comfortable playing this game on this computer. Asphalt Legends is a pretty simple game, but I wanted to play a racing game. I selected Ultra Graphics and Unlimited Frame Rate. I didn't notice any lag or issues in this game. Now let's try some more demanding games like Cyberpunk 2077 and GTA 5. Although I set the graphics too low for Cyberpunk 2077, the average FPS was less than 20.
Так видите, что надо.
The game is playable, but it is not really smooth. You can see the lag and slowdowns in my footage. On the other hand, I chose a normal graphic settings for GTA 5 and it ran really well. So the KAMRUI H1 mini PC with the AMD Ryzen 7 7735HS is suitable for medium games and some demanding games on the low graphic settings. Probably not many people buy a mini PC for gaming. It is more likely used for home and office tasks, right? So the KAMRUI H1 is perfect for this. First, you can watch 4K videos on streaming platforms such as YouTube. I have a small delay when fast-forwarding a video, but that is because of my internet speed. By the way, I am using a Wi-Fi connection and it is around 100 megabits per second for both download and upload speeds. That is the maximum my ISP offers. I also didn't notice any problems with multiple tabs in Google Chrome. I opened 10 tabs with our videos in 4K resolution and switched between them with ease. As for office tasks, I opened an Excel file containing over 35,000 rows and they loaded very quickly. You can also use Word, PowerPoint and other Microsoft Office applications on this computer. Finally, let's see if the KAMRUI H1 mini PC is suitable for video editing. Here is a project in Adobe Premiere Pro with 4K video. I can scroll through the timeline very smoothly. Real-time translation, but I have one of the latest earbuds and... Now let's export a 1-minute clip. It took only 37 seconds. That's really fast. So the AMD Ryzen 7 7735HS is one of my favorite processors for mini PCs that I have tested. It is excellent for home and office tasks, and you can even play medium games at high graphic settings and high-end games at low settings. I like the design of this computer, even though it doesn't have a detachable base for memory expansion anymore, like the previous mini PC from KAMRUI. But it comes with many USB-A ports, as well as USB-C port, HDMI and DP port for connecting up to 3 monitors. By the way, the pre-installed SSD is really fast, but 512 gigs is not actually enough, at least for me. Fortunately, there is a second SSD slot. As for the RAM, my computer has 16 gigs of built-in RAM, and it seems that it cannot be upgraded. But I found this mini PC on Amazon with 24 gigs of RAM and 1 TB of storage. That is a great option. Thank you for watching this video. See you soon!